Hey everybody, welcome back for coming by tonight. It's a special stream. It's going to be a little bit different than what we normally do on the channel. I have a special guest joining us tonight. SJ Custom Arts has graciously agreed to join me, and he is going to be sharing his special art talents. SJ, come on up here, buddy. Tell us a little bit about what you do with your art, because it's different than what we normally see here on the platform, which I think is fantastic. Oh, I have you muted. Hold on. Try that one more time, and this time without the mute button on. I muted you for just so that was my bad. Are you there? Did we break the internet? I can't hear you now. Uh-oh. Do we need to do a quick refresh? Because I think the mute button might have stuck. Sometimes that happens with the mobile app. Good. No worries. Hey, Deb. I think I muted SJ and I think I broke the mute button. Good night, sweetheart.
What are you doing?
We are doing a live show right now.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, good night. Haps be doing bad things tonight. They did carry wrong a minute ago. Oh no. SJ, try going out of the studio and coming back in and see if that helps. Oh, it's messing up everywhere? Okay, so we might be having some platform issues, and sometimes a refresh will help fix that. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here. Jeremy, thanks for waking up, buddy. Did you actually get some sleep, though? Because Jeremy was supposed to go to bed after his live stream earlier. She lost audio and video. Veda had issues. Carrie had issues. Oh, boy. Oh, and they were doing such a cool thing with the sleep is for the weak. Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Well, while we're through that, I wanted to tell you guys that SJ is really, really talented at doing custom lettering and typography and calligraphy and just pretty much anything that you can imagine you can do with the alphabet. He does, and it's really, really cool. He's very meticulous, and he explains his process really, really well. And so I was really, really excited to have him come over to the channel and maybe walk me through some of the steps on how to get started on how to do it. Being a graphic designer, I know some of the basics about, the differences in type, and I've played around with a little bit of what they call foligraphy, but I've never really been an official letterer or good at coming up with different font types with my hands. I'm usually really good at working with them digitally on the computer. So, yeah, SJ Custom is sick and amazing. That is right. Hi, Sue. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, SJ is a sweetheart and he is very, very talented. So he went out. He should be back shortly. While we're waiting on him to come in, let's bring up his Instagram account because I love showing off other people's art. So let me pull that up while he's coming back around. Ooh, this is bright and shiny. Here we go. Oh, wait. There we go. Now we clicked on the thing. So check out this stuff, you guys. I'm just going to click through some of this stuff. How fun. I love all the colors. I haven't seen some of his newer posts. Look at all this with the little snack foods and the McDonald's fries. Oh my gosh, that is just the coolest. It's just the letter S. Just one letter out of the alphabet. Has so much going on. Has such a personality. How fantastic is that? I love this stuff. I love it. I'm kind of like a font nerd. I'm one of those nerds that likes to collect all the fonts. You know, you go to like the free font websites like dafont.com and download all the fun fonts and play with them all, but he actually creates these from scratch, from his brain. And that's an actual drawing. Chalk pastel, nice. These are stickers of some of his pieces. So anyways, let's check back in with, not back quite yet. How do you come back in? The same way, you go out, go to the go live, and it should have this broadcast in there or in your notifications. But I would say hit the go live button and it should broadcast in the list. Hi, Cringe. How are you? Thank you for stopping that. We're about to get started on learning about some lettering tonight. So, what do you guys have planned for the evening? Just hanging out with us tonight? Anything exciting? It's choppy here and there and the audio. Now, part of that could be my internet. Part of it could be the HAPS internet. I'm very happy to repeat anything that may have gotten missed. You just have to let me know because I can't tell. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, my internet bar is going like a roller coaster up and down. So I'm sure there are little bits of audio getting chopped. So you should be, you're on the invite list already. I can uninvite you and re-invite you. You have been re-invited. Just relaxing and resting up. I hope you're feeling better. I hope all that extra sleep helped get some of the yucky stuff taken care of. Oh my goodness. So while I was out and about looking at different examples of type, because you know I'm a visual learner, so I like to share different types of font, like graffiti style font. $5, please. What? $5? I ain't got no $5 for you. So these are more artistic styles. More artistic styles where you do more hand lettering that's a little looser. Thank you, Sarita. I appreciate that. It's kind of one of my favorite summer tops. It's nice and cool and fun and bright. Joe, you always make me giggle. You've been making me giggle all night with all your goofiness. But so these are a little more loose and artistic examples of types of font, but you can also make them a little more formal, like you would find on like a certificate. Let's try this again. All right, go for it, dude. Try it as many times as you want. We'll be here. I'm just talking about, you know, letters, words, fun things. So you can do it lettering in more formal, like wedding invitations and whatnot. You can also paint them on a wall illegally. You can even do them in murals. Fonts around us all over the place, but you can turn them into really cool pieces of art as well. So let me get these off of here. There's ways that you can check this. Here, I want to make this big because this was like really cool when I was looking. Hey, Brad, how are you? This is way cool. It has some of the song titles tossed in there, but it's entirely created out of font. It's all hand lettered in there. There's some Radio Gaga over there in the armpit or shoulder area. There's all sorts of stuff. That's like the coolest. I have invited you, sir. You have been invited. It should be like an invite for eternity. He lives, yes. Go out of the broadcast into the go live button, and it should list the broadcast, and you can come right into the studio. So that one was fun, and then this was another one. Why so serious? Is this not the funnest? It made my geeky senses tingle. This one, it was super fun. All those eyes like loom out between the letters. Holy words! Wow, Batman. So. Aha! He has returned.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries, dude. No worries.
Like right away, my phone froze when the broadcast started. It just completely froze and threw me off. And I'm not used to this broadcasting multi with 2 or more people. So I was like, how do I get back into this? I was so confused. Oh my god! But
oh, you're fine.
I think it's working now. Like it froze right on this
Excellent.
picture, and then I put my hand in front of it, and nothing was showing up. I'm like, what? What's going on here?
Oh.
So.
Well, we can see and hear you now, and I am glad that you have made it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Like,
no,
I was just like ready to start talking, and then I couldn't even see anything. Or
it's all good. It's all good. Well, talk away. The floor is yours. I've just been entertaining them with samples of different types of art. So
I did see that when I was trying to get back in the chat. So what I really love doing is I started learning lettering when I was on Periscope when it first started about 6-7 years ago, and it really helped reach people through positive messages, positive quotes, designing their name with their passions, things like that. So it really took off from there. Like I started taking it more seriously when I started joining these broadcasting apps. And everyone has a story in this world, right? So listening to people tell me who they are, just their background, I wanted to try to incorporate that into some of the designs I was creating for them. So lettering is such an effective way to communicate with people, and you'll notice that you see lettering everywhere you go. So advertising, like brand recognition. What I learned is if you do one design, that could be the rest of your life. That could be the rest of that brand for forever, right? So you have to make sure you do something that's effective. It's going to reach a lot of people, and they understand what you're trying to do at the same time. So it's really fun just creating different types of fonts through 3D design, 2D design, hand design, right? So just like you have an appreciation for it, like calligraphy is a beautiful form of communication, right? It's really fancy, eloquent. A lot of people use it for weddings, things like that. And graffiti is another type of font or
it's
design.
Like it goes back a long ways. Like Greek days is whenever it started kind of being more of an official, like, to write beautifully, I think is how it kind of translates into the Greek root words and whatnot. But yeah, it's really just in a way it's creating your language into an art form in its rawest form. But then you kind of build on that, and you can get away from more of just the mathematical part of it, where it's just lines and angles and circles and curves, and take it more to an artistic level and have it more expressive and have it more of a visual representation of what you're trying to express and say.
That's right. Yeah, you hit it right on the head there.
Hi, Eric. Thank you for joining, and thank you so much for the high awards. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for making the chat alive tonight.
Yeah.
Joe says the first adaptations of the Holy Scripture were written entirely by monks in calligraphy, Old English style fontography. Yes, sir. That was a lot of you see a lot of medieval store or medieval movies and shows where you're seeing the priests and the monks in the cathedrals writing with the quill and the in the by candlelight in the books, and it's all this gorgeous
Yep. Yep.
decorative font of just scripture, and it really came to, I mean, that's how they told their stories. That's how handwritten word. So
Hmm.
it really has evolved quite a bit since those days. What is something that how long have you been doing this lettering? Has it just been something you've always been drawn to, or is there something that kind of sparked that interest that you can think of?
Well, when I was younger, like I'd always print, so I just get like paper like this, okay, and people kept telling me like, "Wow, your writing looks so legible, like it looks so neat." So if we're gonna do something, for example, just like hello, I would always just like print it out like this,
Hmm.
right? And then I started putting like little angles or just little kind of loops through them, and just started learning how to design and turn. Oh no, I think this thing froze again.
We can still see and hear you. So if as long as it's working, I would say just move
Okay,
forward.
can you see that?
Yes. I
Okay,
would say scoot it
so
down just a little bit
okay, just like, can
so
you
we
see
see a
that
little
there?
bit more of your just tilt it down just a little bit so we can see more of the table and less of the
Here we go.
computer. Perfect. Don't touch a thing. It's gorgeous.
That's so funny because you can see it, but I can't.
Yeah. You are
um,
don't
so
move it don't move it at all. You're all good.
okay, so when I was writing or printing, people are like, "This is kind of funny." They're saying, "You write like a girl. You write like a girl." I'm like, "You mean I write
Oh,
legibly?" And I'm just trying to make sure people can
exactly.
understand what I'm writing. So I started chasing the wrong vision when I was younger. I was always trying to create things where it's like, "Oh, this will sell. This will sell." But then I started realizing it's not about that. It's about learning the process of what you love to do and learning how to develop what you really are passionate about skill wise. So I was like, wait a second. People kept telling me about lettering when I was younger, when I was a kid. So I started transitioning that into my artwork, sending like designing different types of messaging, just trying to incorporate different types of lettering from 2D to 3D, making 2D to 3D, and just reaching people through what they're really obsessed or what they're really in love with doing. So I can show you an example. Like
Oh,
someone
please.
I talk to, they love to knit. So they love creating all kinds of. Can you see that?
Yes. Oh my goodness, what is this?
Okay. So here, hearing her story, and she's telling me that she's been knitting for years. She's shared some of her stuff with me, like scarves too. Because I'm like, well, this is what she loves to do, so let's surprise her with kind of a design using yarn, like what kinds of yarn she
I was about
uses, the
to ask you if that
colors.
was all
Just
yarn back there behind it. That is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, this is done with Prismacolors, and it's when I was learning how to develop fonts. Like it was the initial stages, probably in 2016 or 2015 in that area. So I was like, well, maybe I can try to make the lettering a little bigger here, or
Mhm.
add more colors in here. So it really helped me understand who I was through the process of developing each letter, what kind of mediums go together, how can you separate the lettering from the background, those kind of things. So this
Yeah.
was done on black, like black Maidstone paper, and then Prismas with white Jelly Roll pens. So I love using Jelly Roll pens. I'm sure you're familiar with them, and a lot of people
I
are.
have a full collection of Jelly Roll pens. I love them. They are wonderful to work with. Eric says, "Wow, I
Yes.
would
Yeah.
have thought that was digital." So this is
Oh,
was
thank you.
done hand drawn and it was scanned in.
Yes, like it was scanned in, and then this is before I knew about Photoshop, or like I heard about Photoshop, but I never understood exactly what it was. So I'm
Right.
like, oh, people use Photoshop, cool. I didn't realize till later on, Photoshop can change anything you do. Like it can actually make your original look digital. It can make it
Mhm.
3D. You can change the angle, anything you want. Like Photoshop, there's no limit to what you can do. And I
It's
became
an
really obsessed with
incredibly
Photoshop.
powerful
And
tool. Yes.
absolutely, just like Illustrator for people who do logo design. Um, just Adobe has amazing products to create professional looking designs,
Mhm.
and I'm fascinated by it every single day. So this was one, just incorporating someone's passion. So when I connect with people, I love to hear who they are. You know, if they're willing to tell me, this is what I love to do. I got kids. Um, I some of their background stories. There's been times where I've shed a tear with people because they're going through a rough time, and I'm like, I'm here
Mhm.
for you. Let's try to create something for you through some artwork, or let's get a smile going back on people's faces, right? Because life's too
I
short,
love that.
and well, it's true. Like, we're all
Mhm.
humans, and we need to connect with each other somehow, right? So,
Mhm.
it's very important, right, not to take people for granted. And I've learned that through my creativity. So that's why I kept going with this. I'm like, I'm here to help people. I'm here to try to produce something. So that was an example there. But another, like, I always love telling people, if you're gonna do art, try to find as many channels as you can. So it doesn't have to be, if you're a painter, you can paint an abstract painting, but then you can put it on something. You can add it to, say, a tote bag design or a hat design or something. Like, you can make it really functional as well. So I started another area for cards, and I don't know if you can see that one.
Yes.
So this one, it's like a birthday card, right? And
Yeah,
I
it
was
says,
thinking,
"Happy wishing you a very happy birthday." I love the butterfly. The blues are just fantastic. They really pop on that.
yeah,
Is
it's
it
it's
orange?
actually it's quite neat what you can do with mediums. Like, you can go to Dollar Tree or the dollar store or something, pick up a bunch of supplies, and then design stuff around them or incorporate them into your artwork, right? So
Yeah.
you're actually enhancing something as simple as a dollar store tree piece of paper, or some beads or something like that. So,
Is
but
that like a mandala effect that you have going there with the flowers?
yeah, I kind of tried to incorporate. It looks almost like a mandala Indian kind of
Yeah,
style,
it
like
looks
red
kinda like,
sun.
almost like a what's the hente?
Henna. Yeah,
The hand
there's a henna.
marker art that they do?
Yeah,
It's very
henna
pretty.
art. Thank you.
Yes.
So I think, just like when I saw you showing different fonts, it kind of has personality incorporated into it. So if you're looking at bubble letters, if you design it for someone who has a bubbly personality, it kind of actually makes sense,
Yeah.
because they can relate to what you're creating for them. So the one thing I really noticed is the happy birthday designs. People love getting hand designed cards. You can get some mass produced or something from a store, but when someone, you can tell someone has put time into what they do, they appreciate it even more. And creating things like fonts, art, even gifts, like if you create a painting, or you do a lot of drawing, right? I'm sure you give them
Mhm.
as gifts to people, right,
Yeah,
at Christmas time or birthdays. They have a better sense of appreciation for what you've created from your hands,
it's
right?
true.
So yeah, and I really think that when you look at a blank piece of paper and you put something on it, it's amazing, right? Some people can't do this, and I've heard people say, I wish I could do that. I'm like, you can, if you just take the time to learn. If you take the time to develop this, you can do the same thing just with practice. And you can't give up. You have to keep going forward and learning too. So I literally had this person ask for the same requested card for someone else. So
Oh,
I had
really?
to really try to do this exactly the same, and it was really tough, because when you're doing freehand lettering, there's no rule,
Yeah,
right? So
it's hard to replicate a custom piece,
it is.
exactly the
Yep.
way
Yep.
it re I mean, that's kind of like what makes it special
Yes. Yep.
because it is so unique.
And it's actually a beautiful form of art. Like, a lot of people take it for granted, but you go around every single place and you'll notice, just even this, for example, I was showing the Canada 150. I don't know if you can see that design there. Can you
A
see that?
little bit, yeah, yeah, okay. It's a little dark, but we can see it. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that design was created by someone, and it was put everywhere for Canada 150, right? So it became a symbol of Canada for a significant milestone. And
Mhm.
people who see this understand what it is, right? They know what it is.
Right.
So it's actually in your subconscious now. So when you create something like logo design or um, any kind of specific design related to brand recognition, it becomes embedded in your subconscious, like Nike,
Mhm.
Adidas, just different kinds
Yeah.
of brands out
As
there,
as
McDonald's,
you
even
say them,
art.
I can immediately envision that mark. It's like
Yeah,
embedded in my
absolutely.
memory.
Yeah, so it has an impact for like the lifetime of that company or the lifetime of that brand. So I really
Mhm.
think it's important, if you do it right, take the steps necessary. So create a blueprint, right? I before doing something, what I'll do is I'll try to create a blueprint or design structure how to create something, and then start getting to work. Um, that's going to also help you understand how spacing will work. So sometimes when I was first learning, I would run out of space and I'm like, do it again, just do it again. Always keep doing things so you get better and faster
So
at them.
do
And then
you just
over
dive in
time,
straight with like an ink pen, or do you use a pencil and kind of lay it out and then you're like erase, fix, adjust, shift, or do you just like go straight into the pen and do like 20 different versions of the same thing until you get it right?
interesting story about that. That's a great question too. Thanks, Lindsay. I started with Crayola markers on Periscope, so
Okay.
I didn't start with pencil, and I started drawing on those index cards that I got from the dollar store.
That's
Right?
brave though. That's brave.
It's so fun because you only get one shot, and I loved that
Mhm.
challenge. Right? Even though I did a few designs and I'm like, oh crap, got to do it again. I also thought this is a good opportunity to get my skills developed, because when I come live or if I show someone, then I can start making it look more natural instead of oops,
Yes.
I messed up. Oops. Like I'd have my camera set up on Periscope so far to the right, so I'd always run out of paper when I was drawing. And I'm like, it's because my camera's set up here, but the paper starts over here. So I started
Mhm.
learning to readjust visually, like with my eyes, I'd move to the left, look at the letter, and then slowly look at beside it. So while I was designing the A, I was looking at the next letter and then designing the next letter.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is gonna work. This is gonna fit. Aesthetically, it's gonna look pretty balanced out. So if you're going to go into lettering like this, because you can't really see, I use black paper as well, you can't see the pencil marks, and if you go over the pencil
Correct.
with white pen, you're going to see the lead pencil through it. So
Yeah.
this is a good challenge for anyone who wants to try to take lettering to the next level, or if they're learning to develop. Just write like try writing the letters in alphabetical order on a piece of paper and start
Mhm.
from left to right, and just try measuring it out visually if you're more into freehand lettering. If not,
Mhm.
just get a graphing piece of paper. So you can go to like any store, get graph paper, and start writing in the squares. So start designing A
Oh,
in the
okay.
squares. Yeah, so it's going to actually help you balance it out, and it's going to look symmetrical. The lettering is going to look really evened out through measuring and stuff. So it's a really, that's what gave me the appreciation for lettering even more. It's like you can learn how to create it within a confined space and it'll still work. So these cards, like there's a whole bunch of them I learned a lot of valuable lessons from, for freehand lettering. Here's Yeah, do you have any questions,
I
Lindsay?
know that they have for like calligraphy brush lettering, or what do they call it? Photography, where
Yes.
they have these worksheets you can download and you can practice doing the strokes with the brush pens and that
Yep.
sort of
Yep.
thing. And I actually
Yep.
have some of those around here somewhere. Ah,
Those
find it.
are That's a beautiful form of lettering, and those pens are really, they're not expensive either. So
No.
you can invest into them and just learn something like for forever. Like learn a very valuable skill that is going to reach other people too.
Switch to, here we go. My brush calligraphy. So I went on and I Google searched worksheets and I found
Okay.
these Tombow, the has a few brush calligraphy because they sell brush pens and stuff. There's several other ones that are on like blogs and whatnot. But yeah, you go through and just
Hmm.
practice. And these are very shaky. If you look closely, they're not clean at all. But
Oh yeah.
the farther you get into, I was practicing these like every while, and they start getting a little cleaner every time you go through and practice it. And it depends on the brushes you use to on how thin or thick the line gets. And it's
That's right.
easier to when you're starting out, I think, to work thinner.
Yep. Yep.
Because if you do a thicker brush, then your letters get really huge and it's kind of hard to manage them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I just, like playing with the different colors and playing with the different letters and little phrases here, just trying to get that. And you can see as it progresses, it does get a lot smoother
Yeah.
as you
And
the
it's a lot of
practice.
fun too.
Yeah, and this is a page that's completely anything, and it has nice little light gray example on the top line, and then the next line you do it without it. And so and then it moves on to a different type of style of font that you can. That's just
Yeah.
one set. But then
So
there's
it's
like these, the practice drills where you do your strokes and whatnot.
yeah.
That's just as you were talking about earlier, doing the A's over and over, get that rhythm down.
Hmm.
And you can tell it gets kind of shaky at the beginning, but then it starts getting a little nicer towards the end. So
That's right.
yeah, I'm right there with you on practicing this stuff over and over again. And you feel kind of crazy doing it.
Yes.
You feel a little bit crazy doing it, but it's a development of a skill.
It is.
Any
Yeah.
type of skill set that you're wanting to learn, you have to practice it
You do. You do.
over
Yeah.
and over and over and over and over again. So
The
yeah, I didn't go all the way through the alphabet, but there's tons of them out there. These are for your thicker brush pens that have the bigger lettering, and you can just do all sorts of things. Or you could just make up your own like SJ does all the
yeah.
time.
I
You go
mean, and
live like
the key
almost
is
every day, and you're
yes.
doing this lettering of all sorts of different styles and types. I think the first I saw of yours, because
Mhm.
I was so I just discovered you here on Haps, and I was thrilled to meet you.
Yeah, I was
Was
thrilled to meet
when
you
we were
too.
doing the
With
bunny.
the-
Do you remember the Easter bunny?
Yes, I do. I actually I I remember we were just brainstorming how to fit the Y into
Yes.
the ear. So
Yes.
that that was a very very fun experiment, right? And it's always good to have other people who are willing to suggest ideas to you as well, because they can see something that you're not seeing. Okay, especially with artwork or with
Exactly.
lettering or something like that, because it took about 5 or 6 different tries, and every something just seemed a little off, right? So
Mhm.
it just seemed slightly off. But if someone else has that vision, that's how people develop their brand or something as partners too. So people who collaborate
Right.
on designs or people who collaborate on different pieces of artwork, they're seeing something that another creative doesn't see necessarily. But combining it
Correct.
together, you're like, that's it. That's the one, right? So it really
Yes.
helps when people collectively suggest input, or if they
Right.
offer constructive criticism. Like there's a difference between criticism and just like straight up
Correct.
constructive criticism. So it's good when people can give you their input, saying this seems a
Mhm.
little off. Like let's say you're
Mhm.
actually doing a commission on a logo for a client, and they're like, I need it to be this exact design, right?
Right.
They're seeing it, but your vision might be slightly off. But if they just contribute that last piece to the puzzle, then they're like, that's it, that's the one that I need. Get it
Mhm.
done.
Mhm.
So it's really important that if you're going to collaborate with someone on something like a big project, you both can participate, but at the end of the day, it's cohesively working together. So
Yes.
that's why I love some of the collaborations I've done with people, because we have fun at the same time. We don't take it too
That's
seriously. Yeah, we don't take it
that's
too seriously.
I experience the same thing with the art community here on
Yeah,
Haps.
yeah, yeah,
We really have a nice little jive going on here. It's really quite unique and special. We've kind of become a little bit of a family of sorts, where we
yeah.
may be working all on the same thing, or we
Yep.
may be
Yep.
working all on our own different things, but we can talk about what we're doing. We can
That's
talk
so
about
cool.
any,
Yeah.
art and non-art related topics while we're working together.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it's just like, guys, what color do you think would go really well with these pair of pants or whatever? And we could
Yeah.
like talk color theory for a second and work through it together and then move on.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
suggest a technique that maybe somebody else hasn't tried before. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Collaborating with other creatives, you both grow together.
100%.
I
100%. And you
really
learn
think,
you
yeah,
learn from that other person too. Like you don't take it for granted because you're talking to someone who's in the related field. They're also creative too. Just like if you go and talk with entrepreneurs who are creative, they're always brainstorming ideas. They're always thinking, what can we do here? What can we design here? What can we, what can we create and stuff like that. So
mhm,
it's really important to accept constructive criticism, but have fun while you're also learning in this process. Like
yeah,
if you're creating, you said like a pair of pants and someone suggests a color, have fun with it. Like
yeah,
a lot of people, they put too much pressure on themselves as creatives. Like I've always put so much pressure on myself, but I'm like, you know what, I have to enjoy the process and learn at the same time. I can't
yes,
take it so seriously.
yes.
So I got a few more here if you wanted to see.
Please share.
Here's a
I want
font.
I want you to show all the things.
Okay.
Please share all the things.
So this is one that I first got. I think it was the first commission through Periscope for a
Does that
lady
say
who's.
sewing?
It does. It says so Alyssa. So she's starting like a sewing company, and I need to actually ask her if she's still doing it because it's been a couple years. So hopefully she's kept up with it. So with fonts, you can actually incorporate their business into it. So I was like, wow, okay, here's a thread spool, right? And then there's like a W color, different colored thread spool following through. I was
I'm
trying to
just
understand
I'm
color
just
theory
soaking
and
in all of the details, all the notions, all the details on the notions.
oh, thank
If
you.
you didn't know that, that's what um sewing accessories are called notions, like your scissors and your thread and your pins
Yep.
and whatnot.
Yep.
For those who may not have known that, uh, yeah, my goodness, and I love the color scheme. Blue and orange is one of my favorite go-to complementary
Nice.
color schemes, anyways. So you're already after my heart, but the detail that you
Lucy.
put in there with the Alyssa in the tape measure
Yeah.
and in the oh
See,
my gosh, that's
there's a
so
thread needle
great.
right there. So the thread's going through it right there. But this is where I love hearing what people their story. Okay, so
Yeah.
she lives in California, right? So and she's like, I take my kids to the beach. So I'm like, how can I incorporate this into this piece? So I put the palm trees here with the water in the background, right?
I
So
see that, it's like a sunset or a sunrise.
yeah, so it's fun incorporating multi-layered objects or creativity. So you're telling a whole story. Not only are you designing her business, but you're telling a story as well.
Mhm,
So here she said she sews ballerina outfits for her daughters. So I tried to incorporate that into the E leading into the W. So
mhm,
here's an old sewing machine right here.
mhm,
And then this is the ballerina one going into like measuring tape that spells a W.
yes.
So
Eric
you
is
so
asking, how big was this original piece before you
This
scanned it
one
in?
was so it's two 8.5 by 11s combined together to form one piece. So
Oh, wow,
be
that's a
22
big
inches.
piece.
Yeah, it was 22 inches across by 8.5.
About how many hours do you think you put into that?
I put about 14 to 16 hours.
Wow, that's
It was
incredible.
I just this even when you're creating something, it's a memory for yourself as well. So I don't have this anymore, but I remember drawing this at like 1 in the morning with my lamp on, and standing on my chair to see how it looks from above. And it's interesting when you have this memory for someone, but you document it. So I tell people to keep track of your progress, keep track of what you're doing with your. It doesn't have to be a commission. It can be your artwork progress, like write
Mhm,
notes beside some of your art to get better at aesthetics, like designing, measuring
mhm,
things out, learning how to structure lettering properly. So it's really important to always keep track of how you can improve your technique. Could you add more yellow in here? Could you add more white into this measuring tape? So That's something I've always documented, is just the progress of each piece.
I
Take
love that.
picture, 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 picture until
So
it's
if I
completely
was
done.
to want to do this for, like, let's say my mom for Mother's Day, for example,
Yes.
and she too loves sewing and several other things as well, but and I knew her backstory, her personality, and what she was all about. What would you do, research wise and layout wise to kind of do lay the groundwork for a piece like this?
What I do is just get a. You don't have to get an expensive sketchbook. Just get a sketchbook, and start sketching out ideas. Like, first, if you're gonna do this for lettering, just write the letter S. Just start with a simple S, and then step by step, see how you can start shaping what they're passionate about into each letter. So when I was first thinking about the S, I'm like, what if I make a whole thread spool for the S? I'm like, no, wait, because that's not gonna be uh, understandable. Like, the client's probably going to be like, "What is that?" Right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, she probably has a bunch of different thread spools. She probably has a bunch of different objects in her office. So start incorporating it and molding it. So it's almost like clay. You're taking your lettering and you're molding it into a shape using objects. So
Oh, that's
sketch it
such a
out.
good example. It's definitely like sculpting. Oh my goodness, I
It
didn't even
is,
put
yeah.
the 2 together. Yeah.
Yeah, so you just have to visualize it at the same time. So when you're sketching it out in your head, go like, when I was doing this one, I'm going downtown to work and going, what if I take this in here? And like, I probably had this really funny looking face when I was thinking about this, and everyone is like, what's this guy thinking about? But but I'm always like
Mhm.
looking at things and trying to see how would that shape in my head. Like, is that gonna work? Is it gonna throw it off? So when I was doing each letter, I'm like, well, this old school, I looked it up on Google. What does an old school sewing machine kind of look like? Okay. And I was like, well, I see that looking like an E at the top part of an E. So why don't we incorporate
Yeah.
that into the top of the E? And the scissors here, I was like, well, if you open up scissors and you put thread through it, you got an A, right? So I'm like, oh wow.
Yes.
So in my head, I was thinking, this is gonna work. And you got two pieces together, right? You got two pieces combined together. So a customer is getting a lot of bang for what they want, right? So they're not
Yes.
going to get bored of this piece over time, and it always has like an adventure. So there's a following adventure from daytime to nighttime in the
Mm.
background, right? And then there's like thimbles, needles, things like that. So I try to incorporate as much of what they love. Like, you said your mother, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is she passionate about?
Oh, gardening, and she does a bit, not as much as she used to, but yeah, sewing. As soon as I saw the sewing thing, I immediately thought my mother. That was what popped into my head. So this is so brilliant, and I love how Desiree said that her daughter calls that silly face. All have a silly face when we're creating, and we're super own of
Yep.
thought.
Yep. Yep.
Make some extremely silly faces too when I'm like trying to sort through a process thing out. So I definitely relate to you on that as well. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
would you like some creating here for a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
For
So let
sure.
me find some paper real quick
Sounds good.
and let's work through together.
Did you have some ideas in mind?
Ooh, we could use one of these quotes that are over here on the side if you'd like. Um,
Can you see
let's
that? My thing is still frozen, so.
let's do this one. We can here, I'll bring this up. A pip are capable of amazing things, which I thoroughly agree. And I think we already are doing amazing things, so I know we are capable. So what would you recommend that we start with? Just like a ballpoint pen or a brush pen, or what's your weapon of choice when starting to practice something?
Well, now I'm starting to actually use pencil, and I
Oh,
wasn't using pencil before, but it's always fun. Like, here's an alphabet that I'm trying to work on right now. So, you could
yes, I
always start
remember
with a
you working
ballpoint
on the
pen.
graffiti lesson. So what's the
Oh,
process
thank
that
you.
you do with that? I know you kind of did did a little bit of research, Google's image of what graffiti looks like, right?
Yes. Yeah. With Lindsay, with this one here, I would probably, if you wanted to try to find something like this, it's called an Ames lettering guide. I found this in a box just sitting in my basement, and I was like, man, I've
Ooh.
never used this before, but it's actually really good for a guideline. So you can use this to measure out lines,
Ames
angles
lettering guide.
on lettering, right? And it's
Okay,
really
that's
personal
cool.
preference, like ballpoint pen if you wanted to. If you have a
That
calligraphy
almost looks like my compass, but it's not the same. This is a compass, it ruggles, but it almost looks like that. Anyways, that's
yeah,
cool because I see it
it's
has
actually,
the straight lines there.
yeah, you got it. And it
That's
actually
awesome.
helps you balance out some of the lettering too. So
Okay.
it's personal
Well, this is
preference
a
what you
grid paper, so I'm already off on the right foot there. This is
Woohoo!
definitely a grid paper for the win because, you don't like drunken letters.
You could create a new font called Drunken Letters. I don't know if that's probably made up, but someone might have invented it.
All right, so
But
walk
it
us through the process here. Let's just start with one letter.
sure. If you wanted to create, like, let's say it's always good to start from the beginning, like the letter A,
It's a very good place to start.
right? So if you just start with, let's say, the basic letter like this, right? Just people who are starting to learn or try to develop their skills, um, you can start adding, let's say, meat to the bones, with the letters. So
Hmm.
just look into trying to measure the distance if you wanted to actually measure it out using a ruler or something like that. But I always look for balance. So when I'm drawing this line here, the measurement is going to be consistently the same throughout the whole letter. So
Okay,
you
yeah.
can
So
eyeball it.
the leg or whatever of the A all the way up to the top is
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
essentially the same width.
Yeah. So when you're always drawing here, try to look to the right. If you're right-handed, maybe you might be looking to the left of it. But
We're
I'm
both
always
lefties. We're southpaws, buddy.
cool.
We are like rare breeds.
I like that. That's cool. So
Oh, you can't even
can you
see.
see
Here, I'll
how
move it.
when you're doing it, it's symmetrically the same. It's balanced here and here.
I kind of just made two rectangles and angled them together to make sure that they were the same width, and then you can
Yeah,
kind of go back and erase out
that's true. You can do that.
bits
Absolutely.
that you don't want.
I mean, if you're gonna get into like a drafting style, you can draft out your letters. That's what a lot of people do, and then they just erase it, or they'll use Photoshop to get rid of the lines. So it's a good way to practice balancing of lettering, and just developing a style that you feel comfortable with. So when I was doing the
Mhm.
freehand, I was like, always just look to the right. Always try to see if it looks balanced out.
Okay.
So this
I've got my A.
the cool thing with this A, like this is almost like a Helvetica. Helvetica is one of the most popular fonts used in the industry.
A.
Yeah, so it's a really common font.
Indeed.
It's legible. People can understand it right away when they look at
Hi,
it.
Willie. Welcome.
And thanks, guys, for joining. I can't see much on my side, but hopefully you're enjoying this broadcast. And Lindsay, thank you so much for inviting me to
Oh,
share some
you
of
are
my.
so welcome. It's a joy.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, here's a fun thing. You can make this 3D if you wanted to. So if you're looking at it from the top view,
Okay.
you can change it here this way. You can make it 3D coming in this way. Okay, like that. So
Okay.
you just basically extruded your letter. So you took it and pulled it out to make it 3D. Right? So
I
just
see.
try to think
Hi, Scotty.
logically.
Welcome to
If I
the stream.
welcome Scott, welcome people. Hopefully you're enjoying your evening or morning, depending where you are. So you start extruding this out, but you also just want to think, does that make sense? Like if I'm pulling it this way, does this logically make sense in here?
Yes, does the perspective make sense
Yeah,
logically
yeah.
for sure?
So when I was,
Do the angles
you got it.
match?
And when I was learning that, I was taking myself and pretending I was standing right here. Like I'd be looking at this from this angle, or I'd be standing over here. I'm like, well, how is this going to look on this side?
How'd I
So
do? You think?
yeah, so you just take like yourself, shrink yourself down, and pretend you're looking up at this letter, and say, yeah, if I can see that side, then I'm going to see this side on this. So it's almost like you're eyeballing it while you're actually in the letter. So it's like your own little bubble here.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do this again, how would you do it on this side, right? So you take the letter.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just quickly sketch it out here. And you just want to mirror it or inverse it. So this would be
I'm
the
gonna do
opposite
my
of this
daughter's
one.
name
Cool.
because it's short.
See, like this.
Sweet.
So it's basically the same structure, but it's flipped that side there. Another really, really fun experiment is try to put things that are related to letters within the letter. So when I was on Periscope, we were doing A is for apple. So we try to put the letter A, but then try to design an apple inside of it, like the shape of an apple, a silhouette of an apple, and see what you can come up with. Like, it doesn't have to be A for apple, but it can be something relevant to the letter. And this is going to help you just develop your own kind of fonts as well, like your own kind of style. So this is almost like a bubble letter or a graffiti letter. But we started designing the apple like in the corner
Oh
here.
yeah, that definitely has like a almost like a 70s style to it.
Yeah, it's actually really funky looking. You're right. So we
Little
create
disco flower child.
Oops. So the top of the apple's here. The stem would be here. We put the leaf down here, and then the bottom part of the apple right there. And it was almost like a silhouette. So we just colored it in, and it was like a black and white lettering. But a really, really fun experiment you can do is try writing apple within the letter. So try writing a story within each font. So if you can see the shape here, like you look at this rounded part here, you can see an A. It starts to structure within the letter right there, see? So you just kind of experiment with the shape of each outline or each edge, and you say, is that going to work? And then you just kind of look to the right of each time you're designing to see if you're going to have enough room. That way you can start keeping the font consistent throughout. It's not going to get squashed towards the end.
That's what I always run into. I always make it squashed at the end.
Yeah.
Looks beautiful the first couple of letters, and then you're like, oh crap, this is not going to be centered. So how do you decide where center? Do you start with the letters in the center and work outwards to make sure that the spacing is right, like centered on your piece of paper that you're working on? How do you decide that?
It could vary for each individual, like how they see the structure of their lettering. But one thing I did learn is when you start, I start from the left because I'm left-handed a lot. A lot of the time I start from the left. But I always, without designing anything first, I visualize the size of the letter and then look right and say, is the P going to work? Is this going to work? Is this going to work? Is this going to work? Because you're having like an invisible vision of the letter being placed there. So you can see it in your head before you start designing it. And that's going to really help you out too. Don't just like go right into it and start designing and be like, oh no, I ran out of room. Try to see in your mind if that letter is going to work with that same measurement. So when I saw this A here, this curve, you can see how it's pretty balanced out inside. Looking to the right, I'm like, I started this one. Is the P going to be the same thickness? Is it going to start getting smaller consistently through before you design it? So it's really important to kind of premeditate or pre-visualize what you're going to do before you actually put it on the paper. Now, the beauty is if you're using a pencil, you can erase it, right? But if you're designing like on black paper with a white pen, you need to start kind of visualizing it in your head. Is this going to work? Because you can't erase the pen when it's on there.
Right. You're taking that safety net away when you're doing the ink straight on the paper there.
You are. Yes, exactly. So another really good thing is if you're measuring it properly, you're going to have you might have some extra room to create another little pattern inside there. So you're free to design. Like you have the freedom once the actual lettering is done. See, so on the top of this one, you still have room to play around with.
Right.
Like you can still play in this top here. So Here, let me just fix this one up again
And this
a
could
little bit
also
there.
apply to numbers as well. So if I had like my daughter is turning 11 at the end of the month, and so
Oh,
I
nice.
could write out the number 11 and write maybe her full name in there, or happy
Yes.
birthday, or
Yeah, it's
anything
really,
like
really
that.
fun. Yeah, and it leaves an adventure too, right? So they can read your card, but within the card, you have messages through their name or through their design that you're creating for them, right?
Yeah.
So if she's 11, you said, right? She's gonna turn
She's
11.
gonna be 11.
So if you're gonna
Hi,
develop like,
CS. Welcome. CS Murphy in the house. Welcome.
ACS, how's it going?
We're learning about lettering tonight.
Yes, always fun. Always an adventure too.
I think it's fun.
Absolutely.
It's an art craft. It's a an art craft. It is a art within an art, I would say. Because it's
Yes,
not it
exactly.
doesn't follow, I mean, it has some of the similar principles as, your standard traditional art, but it has extra like mathematics built into
Yeah,
it in a way.
it is. It's true. Like I was saying, measuring the distance between the spacing of the font or something. You're using math. Essentially, if you're
Yeah,
doing freehand, you're just kind of visualizing the math, right? So it's
right.
like freehand math, if there is such a thing as freehand math. But
I love freehand
um,
math. Let's go. Yes.
yeah, that's a good term, I guess. So if you're gonna do, let's say, the one for the first part of the 11, right? You can, like we're doing, extruding it out. So we're taking and pulling it out visually, right? So you're making it 3D. But the
Hmm.
cool thing is, you can start writing messages in here. You can start writing little notes in there, right? You can put your daughter's
Yeah.
name in there. It's really cool. And then you can actually create like a cake or something on here. So you can have a cake just sitting right on this side here with 11 on the cake. You
Yeah,
can
you could
really
like
start.
add little visual moments around your font that
Absolutely. So
incorporate it inside it too. There's no
yeah,
limit.
and with the 3D parts, you're creating like a tabletop, or you're creating some kind of foundation to build other things onto it. So, I see a lot of these birthday cards out there, and they don't do anything with the font. They just keep it the 3D, but they don't add any extra detailing
Yeah,
inside. So you just created a whole foundation to build an entire story on, right? So you can have a
this is
cake
true.
here. Yeah, you can put like a candle on the top of the one, right? And you can start developing a whole story where this person will have an adventure on their card, and chances are they're not going to want to like throw out the card. They're going to want to keep it for keepsake and look
Yeah,
at it
the
years from now.
you want to hang
So
on to those special cards that are just, not just a, oh, here's something to throw a gift card into. That doesn't, it kind of a
absolutely.
little bit more of a generic personalized. Somebody's going to want to hold on to that and
Yeah,
cherish it because it's going to be something that they are going to keep that reminds them of you
exactly.
in that
And
moment in time of their life, the celebration of that highlight.
yes, yes, and that's another thing I became really fascinated with is you're creating the 2D to 3D, but then you're adding extra elements where you can develop even further detail onto it.
Mhm.
So, yes, you can write in here. You can also write in here now. You can also create something here, and there's so much going on. It's really visually appealing. It's engaging with a person, so they can look at this and be like, "Oh,
Mhm.
neat, that's so cool." The other thing too I noticed when I was doing like birthday cards or cards for people is you can build. Here, let me show you. I'm gonna go grab a card. Just one sec.
Okay. I am just working here. Guys, if you're still hanging out in the chat and if you have any questions for SJ or myself, not that I'm an expert, but I might know the answer, please just put them in the chat.
Okay, so I got this card here. Now, here's a donut. Okay, it's a donut card. But what you can do is when you were talking about
Oh my
movie,
gosh, that's adorable. You made
yeah,
this?
yeah, thank you. It's
Oh,
actually
that's
really
so cool.
you were talking about like movie tickets or putting something in the card, right? So I wanted to,
Yes.
with this one, I'm like, why don't we create something that's like visually engaging, right? So have it fun, right? So this is a good one. Like someone's like, I want to try this, but you create the donut, but then you got a long john donut like within the donut. So here you can put movie tickets, right? I was like, okay, well this, a kid's gonna love something like that, who loves
My
donuts.
oh my gosh, you are not kidding.
So
Donuts
it's
are like crack for kids, I tell you what.
yeah, and it's true. Like here's where the lettering you can actually multi-layer it into your card.
Whoa, open that
So
back
this is
up. I
Jelly
think I
Roll.
saw bling in there. Is there bling in that?
Yeah, there's a bling bling. Oh, one of them kind of is a little off, but
Oh, look at that. Bling bling. Oh my gosh, there's even a happy birthday in a little fold, you guys. The
so
detail, you leave no surface unturned on your pieces. I love that.
thank you. So this is where fonts can become functional too. So you can customize cards. You can customize, put their name there, right? So it's really there is no limit. That's why I tell people there's no limit to what you can create. You can
Right.
start developing your fonts, but you can put it on things, right? You can make it really functional. So it's super fun learning this process, right? You can spend
Speaking
hours
of
doing
developing
this.
your own fonts,
Hmm.
have you ever developed an actual font set that you can use on your computer, like to upload to dafont.com or anything like that?
Oh, I have. I can show you this. It's an underwater adventure, but I
Ooh,
don't
yes.
know
I
how
think I saw
to.
a glimpse of that the other night.
Yeah,
CS wants to go to Tim Hortons now. That sounds fantastic.
nice. Tim Hortons is
We don't
amazing.
have them this far south in the United States.
Oh no.
We only have Starbucks. I mean, come on. And then Michael Murray with the high award. Thank you so much, sir. You are always such a generous giver and a great supporter of all of our streams. That
Thank you
donut
for
looked
coming in.
fantastic, did it not? I just wanted to eat it. Okay,
Thanks,
this is
guys.
Christmassy.
Yeah. So
Gosh.
here's okay. This a really good website to get non-copyrighted imagery is Pixabay.com. So someone told me about Pixabay, and I was like, this
Ooh,
is
yes.
amazing. So I initially designed the font here. Okay. This was done with Prismacolors
Okay.
and Jelly Roll pen. So like each letter is a candy cane shape. See, so there's K,
Mhm.
L, M, but these are blocks. So you can actually move them around. You can put them behind, to spell people's names, things like
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
So this one was really good for Christmas, but I'm like, if you're gonna put it into a database, how do you create the block? Like, how do you actually develop it where you can type H and it'll come up? So I was looking into that. It seems kind of like it might not work for some of my fonts. You know,
Oh, okay.
it might. I'm not. I'm thinking some could work, but this one here might be a little bit too complicated to like here. Okay, here's the ugly sweater. It's like Merry Christmas.
That's the perfect ugly sweater. That would win all the prizes at the office Christmas parties.
So
Fontographer works well, CS says. You
yeah.
should try
Okay.
Fontographer and see how that goes.
Fontographer. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Thank you so much. Thanks for
Making
the suggestion.
notes. I'm writing that down too so I don't forget.
Yeah, thank you. Fontographer.
Because I just want to go check it out and see what it's all about.
Yeah, that rhymes too. So here's the underwater font. With each letter, there's like a little adventure going on inside of it.
Oh my gosh, it's like Finding
So,
Nemo's ABCs. I love that.
and it took a bit of time to render it out, but I think that'd be cool if you could type that in, and spell out things and have a little adventure like that. So now the one thing I was wondering is,
CS says
can
you
you?
can turn your handwriting into a font with that app. It's neat.
Oh,
Oh
cool.
man, that's so cool.
So with
Yeah.
this, I'm gonna definitely check that out. So then you can start adding like whales into the font. It's all 3D. It looks 3D, right? So notice how this whale is going in between the lettering, right?
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool how you could actually create this font, spell out a person's name or spell out a message. Oh, I think I have one here. Just one sec. So this says wild and free, just like the sea. And we actually did this live here on Haps.
Oh, cool.
So you can see wild and free, just like the sea. But the whole thing just has a whole storyline to it. And I
Mhm.
think people would like to maybe type that into the computer. They want to spell out their kid's name or something and put it on a pillowcase or something,
Oh,
That'd be pretty cool.
that would be a perfect gift idea. Yeah.
Yeah, if people like underwater adventures or something. So, are you still creating?
I am still creating. I
Okay,
was
let's
working
go back.
on putting things into the number 11,
Oh, cool.
and I ended up writing there's a little cupcake down here in the little pointy part of the 1, and then it says another year older
Wow. You put
in the
all that
first
into the.
one.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's awesome.
It's not beautiful, it's not perfect. Definitely a few more drafts are needed, but it works, and so that's really fun. You're inspiring me
That's
to
cool.
possibly make my daughter a custom birthday card. I'm not sure that's gonna work out, but it's a thing that could possibly happen.
See, I think a lot of people who get cards, yes, we don't have time to create cards, right? Like a lot of people are busy, they're on the go. But if you have the time to create something special, like it could be for a significant milestone in someone's life, right? So my father just turned 70, so I made a special card to signify that,
Mhm.
right? I would rather create something for a milestone like that than just go and buy the card, right? Because
Okay.
that's something he can put away in an album or something or treasure it.
Yes.
So and these people, they know that you've took the time to make something special for them. So that's why this channel I became really fascinated with, like through SJ Handmade. It's just custom cards, right? Because someone doesn't have someone just scribbles in a message and they're like, well, it doesn't look really good, I'm not happy with this. So when I created these cards, they can use any font they want, calligraphy, bubble lettering. They can
Mhm.
tell me the message they want exactly put into the card, which makes
Right.
it even more special because they're like, I requested this to be done for you, and
Yeah.
this is a
Oh,
custom card for your. It's almost like it's the gift in itself at times too, because they're like, wow,
it
look how much
is. It's
thought.
like the packaging is also the gift.
Yeah, so it's like you put the time and the effort in and the thought of the other person giving it to that
Yes.
person for a significant milestone, or it's really important to take the time to create something special for someone that's important to you,
Mhm.
right, in your life. So it's really, really cool.
Very
The
cool.
other thing too is you can create little blocks, like create little birthday blocks, photocopy them too. So
Mhm.
if you're gonna make a birthday cake or something, and then you put like happy birthday, color it in, scan it,
Hi,
get prints
Captain
of it.
Rehab. How are you?
Thanks for joining. Thanks guys for joining. Hopefully this is inspiring some of you to look into lettering or look into art in general, and pick up some pencils or pens and start drawing with us and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I think
with
this is great.
with
Quite
the
fun indeed.
birthday, if you create a card and you start creating these blocks here, just take them to
Mhm.
Staples or take them to like a photocopying place, and then leave the top blank, so then you can rewrite out new messages on top of them, like a person's name on top
Oh,
of it. So you don't
that's
always have
clever.
to. Yeah, well, thank you. If you don't have time to draw a whole new card, you just have to create the blocks and then just set them aside for future use, right? And it's still going to be
Mhm.
custom because you're writing their name still on the card or on the top, right? So it's really, really fun,
Right.
and it saves time.
Very cool. Decided I'd fill in the other number 1 with like personality attributes like silly, sweet, thoughtful, that sort of thing. That would be kind of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can actually. I'll pull up one where it captured someone's emotion for her sister. She's she's very like her sister's very bubbly and has a lot
Mhm.
of personality. And it seems like based on their story, they have a lot of fun when they get together because they don't get a lot of time to spend with each other. They're in different states.
Oh, okay.
So she's like, I want to create something for my sister that's fun. And this is what I came up with here for one of the parts. So this is a hand designed card. and it's got like the emojis in there. I
I
don't know
ran
if you
out
can
of
see
space.
that, but
I have to start
oh
over.
no.
He writes. Thoughtful's
You
a
know
big
what? It
word,
happens.
everybody.
They
That's
say
funny.
it Speep happens.
It
So
happens.
yeah. So with this card here, these are from the dollar store, right?
Thank
All
you,
this
Anne,
stuff.
for
But
the subscription. Oh my gosh.
see, so she's like, I smile because you're my sister. I laugh because there's nothing I can do about it. So just creating things like this, right? And then there's the laugh emoji. Um, here's
Now, how did you
another
come
thing
up
that
with the wording? Did you just kind of did somebody like be like, I want this to say this, and then you just kind of made it happen, or
yes.
you just kind of oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is requested by people, and then I try to put their personality into the card. So I'm like,
Mhm.
how is this person based on I laugh because there's nothing you can do about it. So they probably catch up on memories and just laugh all the time, right? So I'm
Yes.
like, let's capture some emotion like using these. And the cool thing with when you're designing anything, if you have foam, put it behind some of your drawings, raise it off the card or raise it off your piece of art.
Yeah.
It really
Well,
adds
they have
another layer to
those
it.
little foam square things now in the craft section because a lot of scrapbookers like to do the multi-dimensional paper things and also card
Yeah,
makers for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. It really does come in handy. It's very effective way of creating new layers to your artwork or your
Mhm.
creative skills. So here's another one where I just show like create. You can create like these little pockets, right, where people you can take the card out like that. Um,
Mhm.
and it just makes it more fun and interactive. You could put money in there if you wanted to. So the
I love
cards
those.
are super super fun.
I love cards that aren't just a you look at it and open it, but it has texture, feeling.
Yeah,
The fonts are moving in different directions. They're not just a block of text,
that's right.
and it evokes a little bit more, like you said, interaction or even an emotion than just a well, thanks, Grandma, for sending me a birthday card in the mail.
That's right. And this can be these cards you can use this artwork and learn to develop other areas of your creativity. So like here's Homer Simpson, okay? So this is he's like
Oh,
whoa
cool.
celebrating. But
Wahoo! I love The
yeah, so
Simpsons.
you can actually customize balloons. Like here's the person's name within the balloon designs. She's a Pisces, so you're putting a story together for
Oh,
someone.
cool.
It tells their what they like to do. Their horoscope. Here is the stages of it. So there's the inside part.
Mhm.
This guy's sister loves South Park, so he's like, "Can you
Okay.
put Butters in there?" But the fun thing is, here's the front of the card when it's completed. So the white Jelly Roll pen can be used for so many different things, like
I love a
just
good jelly roll.
designing. Yeah, right. So it just adds a little extra oomph to the design. Um,
Yes, sir.
so that's the front. But if you look on the inside here, here's where you can really. This is actually a video, so this will show the whole card. So when it's opened, right now, here's what.
The amount of detail in this is just amazing.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so interesting. He's like,
Oh,
she's
I
a
see some science
Pisces.
action going in there.
Yeah, because his sister loves science. She's a chemist. So I'm like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? So there's like a microscope. I love science. It tells what she's passionate about. She loves vegetarian pizza. So I'm like, veggie lovers. Like you're telling their
Yes.
life inside the card. Here's a Pisces fish. She's gone to France.
I bet
So
she still has that card to this very day.
it's amazing the reactions you get when you put the time in for someone because they're like, "This is what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted." So you help make my
Mhm.
visual come true, and that's the beauty of creating things for other people. Is they can
Aw,
see it, but they can't apply it to something, and you're helping them with
right.
their vision become a reality. So he's like, this is so funny. He's like, "Happy birthday, you old fart. If you want a he requested this. if you want a middle life crisis, now is the time. And then he sent me a message saying, I think it was, yeah, yeah, yeah. After
That's
I did
oh,
this, yeah, he's like,
that's
I think
funny.
it's, he's like, I think it should be midlife crisis. I'm like, I know, but you told me to write this. So I learned something
This is
from
what you
that.
get.
Yeah, you can always like, I'm thinking this is exactly what he wants. But then after he's like, I think I made a mistake. And I'm like, I went based on what you told me. I just wanted to make you feel comfortable with the process. And he's like, yeah, yeah, no worries. But it also helps you learn to put in your advice or say, I'd recommend, do midlife crisis or, but
Yeah, be
at
like, "I
this
think
time,
this would sound better. What do you think?"
you
And
got it.
see if they wanna stick with the original or maybe go with that change. I think that's wise, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just being cautious because I didn't want to cross any boundaries. Like if they're going to request something, I'm going to be like, okay, let's get it done. So you'll notice here on the right side, Butters, he's hidden behind the cake, right? But
Yes.
here's where it becomes really fun. You can make it
Oh my
interactive
gosh, that's
if
so
you
fun.
yeah, so you can actually take Butters and pull them up, and then the whole message is hidden behind the cake. So that's where I
Wow.
love creating these cards. I'm like, there's something here. It's a lot of fun. It does take a bit of time. So if they're willing to um, give you a premium on your work, because don't sell yourself short. And I've
Mhm.
noticed a lot of people sell themselves short in the art industry. Okay, you're putting in the work. This is what they want. There's actually this image of someone drawing half a horse for someone who wanted to pay less, and then someone paying more was a fully detailed horse. Like the horse was a cartoon outline because the person paid for that much, and then the
Yes.
person who pays like $100 or something gets a nice fully detailed horse. So it's true, don't undersell yourself or sell yourself short because people appreciate what you do. They'll know that you put the time in to create something.
Cool.
So those are two examples um, of custom
So
cards.
do
But
you have, like, a storefront, or do they just message you and be like, "Hey, would you do this job for me?" sort of thing? Or how do you get, your work if somebody
uh,
wanted to get a card made?
I'd recommend to if you can build up the courage. Let's say you don't. At times, I struggle with broadcasting, but if you can build the a broadcasting audience, or if you can get them to Instagram, Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace, I've learned is one of the tops for me
Oh,
because
great.
I'm meeting, yeah, so you're meeting people locally too, which is great. So a lot of the people are easy to get to. You don't have to ship anything, and they're like, I'll come meet you here, or can I come pick it up tonight? So there's things like I get custom orders for keychains, t-shirts, things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you here in 5 minutes. It'll be done. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it'll be done because we live in the same city. So it's easy to meet each other. So Facebook Marketplace kind of has a radius where you can actually meet people
Wow, that's
close to
really
you.
great.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure which one do you find the most effective? Do you find like Instagram or social media, like broadcasting?
For my art, I find active whenever I'm interacting with others. I don't necessarily sell my art. I guess if somebody wanted to buy it, they could. My
Yeah.
is more of a hobby than a yes, technically. But
Well, you do an amazing job. So
thank you very
your
much.
I see your posts on Instagram stories and Instagram like they're really good.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
of
really
course. You're
do it
welcome.
for fun. It's more like art therapy than an
Mhm.
actual
Yes, art
job.
therapy is the best.
But I won't say no if somebody wants to buy it. I'm not gonna, unless it's a really stupid number. But I'm not doing it for free, everybody. But no, the Instagram really has a great if you know how to work the hashtags and get involved with there's little niche communities that
Yes.
hang out within those hashtags.
Yeah.
If you get
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
know those people that post there most regularly, you can start doing some really magical networking things. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I've really met a ton of people on here on Haps, and really have made some really great connections that way.
Yeah, that's what I love. It's really a good community.
Mhm.
It's everyone is trying to support each other and understand that this is a creative outlet to share who you are. So it actually your personalities. You might have someone who can relate to what you're doing and be like, oh, cool, I'm a comedian, I'm a musician too, I'm an artist. I love lettering, I create lettering. So it's really cool how the community is very interconnected through social media too, right? All you have to do is just search up artists, and you got a whole bunch of different artists from around the world on Instagram. Like, it's incredible,
Yeah,
right? And the good
definitely.
thing is, a lot of people are doing their own thing too. So not everyone's doing the same
Mhm.
thing. People are focusing on this doodle art thing. I've noticed is a lot in my feed on Instagram. So I became
Oh, yeah,
inspired.
there's, like, the doodle a day sort of thing. Thank you, Lucia, for the super heart. Welcome, Knowledge. Thank you guys for coming by. Hello.
Yeah, thanks you guys
Um,
for
oh,
joining, and hopefully you're enjoying this broadcast. It's really fun talking to you, Lindsay, and everyone about just art in general,
do
like
you have
just
a
creating in
favorite
general.
piece that you've made recently that is, like, your most your pride? What's the piece that you're most proud of that you've done recently?
This one is a this one's a bit crazy. It was
I
requested
love
by someone who
crazy.
kept changing it. Yeah, like it taught me a lot about getting things done quickly on the spot. So this client kept changing his design, and I kept redesigning it over and over again because he's like, "Can you put this here? Put that there? Put this." So I came up with, here's the outline. Okay, this has got things that he likes. I don't know, like the Murakami flower or whatever,
Oh my goodness,
and
this looks like a color page. Like, you could print that out
it
and,
can be,
like,
yeah, yeah,
have a
it
little bit
can
of
be.
coloring therapy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely would be a therapeutic to color in some of these things for sure. And here's okay, so here's the final design.
Just a little
And
bit.
oh, sorry, can you see that?
There we go.
Okay.
Aw.
So it was really interesting because the I got this here from a Pixabay, right? He's like, this
Okay.
looks like my girlfriend, right? And then he's like, can you shape the shirt a little more? Can you shape the arms a little more? I'm like, how am I gonna do that? So it taught me how to just kind of, like with digital and Photoshop, how to kind of subtract parts of images and kind of manipulate them a little bit.
Mhm.
So he's like, I want to start a YouTube channel. So we put like YouTube on there. But
Wow.
here's his initials and then the last initial. So it's okay for me to share this. I've already talked to him. So
Okay,
I share
cool.
this all the time. So here's like his initials using a font that's called, I believe it's called Crazy Herald or something. And his girlfriend loves butterflies. So he wanted basically his whole story in here. And he's like, can you put a Mercedes in there? I'm like, dude, come on. Like, you're putting so much in here already.
We
Like,
have boba
really?
tea and rainbow flowers, and is that a
Yeah.
bunny? Or
That's his hamster, his
oh, it's hamster.
girlfriend's
Okay, okay.
hamster.
Oh
And
my
it's like
gosh.
life buddies. He's
I
like,
was
can you
like,
put
the
some
ears are
oranges
too
in
short to be a bunny. What is this creature?
there? Yeah. uh he's um he wanted like things that his girlfriend would love. So he's like, my girlfriend loves her hamster. Can you put her hamster in there, right? And then he's like, I like money because he's a financial advisor. So he put like
Oh,
money
okay.
bags. And
That makes
but
sense.
the process of doing this design, it took a long time just to learn how to balance it out properly. So
Wow.
this is the final one here. So he's like, I like bubble tea, and he has a necklace with this eye on it. I don't know what that's called, evil eye or something.
Okay.
So everything he wanted in this story. So it basically tells his whole story plus his girlfriend, right? So
Mhm.
combining both of their stories together into one piece was really a good learning experience. And then he's like, "Can you move this over here? Can you change this?" And just doing it on the spot and then sending it back to him like
Mhm.
within minutes. I was like, "Wow, this is really keeping me on my toes." And I shook his hand before COVID, of course. I'm like, "Thank you for this opportunity. You taught me a lot. You taught me a lot
Wow.
about who I am as an artist,
Yeah,
and
there's
just
a lot
it
of
really."
that's a very complex piece. There's a lot of different things going on in there, and I could tell that you had a thanks, Joe, for the Creative Genius Award. Hi, Tim. Welcome. Uh,
Thanks, you guys, for coming in.
thank you.
Hopefully, you're
Thank you, guys.
appreciating this.
So, SJ, let's spend the next 5 minutes. We're going to wrap up a little bit for at least the lettering portion. I'm going to start a second live here in a bit and work on some more art that I need to work on to get done tonight. So,
Perfect.
is there anything in the next would like to share that we haven't covered already?
Yes. Just always, if you have something that you know you're supposed to be doing, like you have a path in life, I recommend to just pursue it. So don't give up. There's been times where I thought, am I doing the right thing? Is this for me? Yes, there is a lot of people who are also really creative in this world, but you have to just enjoy the process. So
Mhm.
enjoy what you're doing. Like there's been countless hours where I love doing it, but I didn't look at it as time. Like it would fly out the window. I'd be working on a piece for 10 hours. I'm like, I just love doing this. Right. And they say that even if you're not making money doing what you love, you're still living the dream. So I think that's very true because you're enjoying creating, you're enjoying doing something that you're passionate about, and don't worry about what others think. You know, there are times where people are negative towards you or they might not support what you're doing. Just follow your path, like your true path in life, and you want to leave a footprint for other people. So leaving a footprint on this earth for other people to learn from, to get become inspired from. That's the main goal when it comes to what I'm personally doing here. It's enjoying the process and trying to inspire others to who gave up, who said, "Oh yeah, you know, people think that I'm wasting my time." Don't listen to that. Okay, that's negativity.
Yeah.
Just keep going forward, keep moving forward, and it'll definitely you get rewarded in many ways. Like you learn a lot of things through skills. You connect with the right people on this earth, right? You can reach them with your stuff. It's just I'm amazed by it. Like sometimes I'm just up at night thinking about this all the time. You
I
know,
feel
it's
like
incredible.
artists go through phases where you have a little bit of what's technically called the imposter syndrome, where you
Yeah,
may be extremely
yeah,
talented, but you're like, oh, I don't think I'm that good, and I struggle with that. I go through weeks where I'm just like, I hate everything art, but then there's a couple of, and then a couple weeks later, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to create something or I'm gonna die. So I mean,
yeah.
that's a little extreme,
It comes
obviously.
in waves.
There, you
Yeah,
go through these phases that your that nasty voice in your head tricks you, and you start believing it, and so you have to kind of overcome that a little bit because it takes a bit of strength and bravery
it does.
do
It
art,
does.
but to live stream and do art, that just adds another level. Um,
Absolutely.
um,
You
you,
definitely just have to have fun. The key
yeah,
is to don't
enjoy
take
the
yourself so
journey.
seriously. Yeah, don't take it so seriously. Enjoy the process and just smile while you're learning. You know.
Yes, yes. Well, guys, I put SJ's handle down in the chat. If you would please click on that and make sure you are subscribing to him so you can live. Sometimes he doesn't save his replays and you have to catch him at the right time. We're working on that, SJ. We're going to have to get you some
Yes.
replays built up so
Yeah.
that we can
Thanks,
so
Lindsay.
that
Yeah.
people have a place to drop you rewards. If there's nowhere to place a reward, you got to leave those replays up, buddy. So you. I think that the world needs to see your art. And oh, his app probably just crashed. I think the world needs to see his art because he's incredibly talented, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed visiting with SJ as much as I have tonight. And I hope that there are bits and pieces that you've taken away from this live stream. Joins me again soon, and I am planning on going live very shortly after this one to do some more art of my own, but I want to finish up this stream and make sure it's special for SJ. So thank you guys for joining me tonight, and I hope that you guys enjoyed learning about and I will see you guys on the next stream. Thank you for hanging out with me.